Before the launch of Girls Frontline 2 global servers, have you ever wondered what gacha games are like outside the modern day polished formulaic experience? Do you have a craving for something a little bit more experimental? Well, look no further than our prequel, Girls Frontline. Set in a post-apocalyptic future, you'll be immersed in an epic anime RPG where you will fill your archive with a band of predominantly gun-carrying female soldiers as you deploy them into containment zones in order to reclaim the future. The road up ahead may be rough, but they aren't just some bakery girls. These are goddess of victory. Truly a gacha game like no other. Wait, shit. Only to be experienced in Girls Frontline, where you will do battle with an assortment of characters such as women, manticores, bolt-action rifle, semi-automatic rifle, anti-material magnum rifles, and children. Like any good gacha game, you start out by dumping everything into your target waifu. Fail to get her anyway. Proceed to do a mission in order to recoup your losses. Realize that you're too broke to even start a mission, consider uninstalling. Refuse to give up. Finally get your first 5-star. Shower her with all your love and attention. Immediately regret the decision as you realize high rarity units are too expensive to raise on a new account as you landed yourself on a phenomena known as core hell. Uninstall and never look back. Welcome to Girls Frontline, produced by Sunborn Mika, who are primarily fueled by their love of strategic role-playing games and blood sacrifices. It's a gacha like no other, where all the money you put in the game will not even be equal to the amount you get just by waiting. In an era where every gacha is fighting for player retention, Girls Frontline is way ahead of the curve long ago. This game loves your time, and how much will they demand from you? Well, how much you can give them, and after that, demand time that you don't have. In a game where its mechanics are so deeply entrenched with its in-game economics that they forgot how to properly monetize it. Gameplay is strategic map-based, where you control several teams of units to eliminate and capture the enemy teams and base. Each individual team are given a set amount of resources to fight up to 5 times before they had to resupply. Combat starts out as simple, pure stat checks that eventually becomes more and more complicated real-time combat, with enemies becoming increasingly more arbitrary to handle. Maps start out as simple daytime, where you get to observe enemy movement fully. Then comes night battle, where you get a first-hand experience on what it's like to be a stormtrooper. Enemies are completely hidden until you are right next to them, or you turn on radars, in which case it's best to start pulling up guides. If there's anything this game loves more than time, it's spreadsheets, and you're gonna be consulting them for the majority of your gaming career. Oh, you didn't know this meticulously written guide on how to beat this arbitrarily designed stage fast enough? Well, enjoy losing all the precious resources that you already spent just to do this stage. The same resources that are used for the gacha system in this game. Essentially, everything that makes up your team is obtained through crafting, where you input a set combinations of resources in hopes of getting something specific. You could try to be quirky and input your own special codes, but to this added the actual recipes that you're supposed to follow in game. The gacha for this game is pretty decent. On one hand, the drop rate of 5 stars are quite high, and most of the new units are added to the pool, but that also means you could have plenty of 5 stars before your specific target. Not to mention, you will have to allocate some of those pulling resources to other core parts of the team. Thankfully, we have occasional raid-up events alongside a hard pity feature that you can save your resources for. The actual gacha can be found in dorms, where you will gamble using a unique currency for a chance of getting random skins for your favorite girls. Aside from gacha, dorms are also where you get to interact with your girls and raise their affection, sexually harass them enough, and you may just be allowed to put a ring on them. We have some work to do. Essentially, Most of your gacha pools are gonna be furniture, which you're gonna need to raise the comfort level of each room. Doing so increases the batteries you use on a daily basis. Batteries, while not important early game, shouldn't be neglected as they don't cost resources to use and can help a lot with your overall unit leveling. Another thing you wouldn't want to miss out on is this exclusive gift from our sponsor today, Nikkei Goddess of Victory. They are currently having their 2nd anniversary and are pleased to announce a special code in collaboration with this video. In order to recruit Girls Frontline players into the Nikkei pipeline, we have created a so-called Nikkei edition of the game. To redeem this code, simply input this specific craft recipe in order to unlock it, and it will give players a glimpse of what it's like being a Nikkei. Teams in this game's case are called echelons, and you will need to deploy several of them in a stage. They comprise of various kinds of formation that you will make using 5 dolls. The equipment that will give extra stats and sometimes outright mandatory, and fairies that will be discussed at a later date. Let's talk about dolls. In total, there's an endless amount of dolls across 5 different classes. Destruction that deals moderate amount of damage while possessing great survival capabilities, until they don't. Hunt that focuses on dealing massive single target damage and has the profound knowledge of attacking those at the back first. Erudition is a general use damage dealer that focuses on AoE until they don't. Harmony applies buffs and improves the team's capabilities until they don't. Preservation are powerful tanks that protects those behind them. And last but not least, Heavy, who along with shotguns are made for the sole purpose of speedrunning your new account into bankruptcy. In truth, you don't really need to memorize how each individual dolls work. Just follow the recommended formations to pair the dolls with their respective class buffs. They do have specialized roles within their own individual gun category, but that's not something you need to worry about early game. What you do need to worry about is how you're gonna get building. You know those shiny 5 stars that you get randomly just by rage crafting? Well, you're gonna have to bench them for the time being. Swallow your pride and start racing your low rarities, because they're going to make up your first few teams for the majority of your early game life. This is because normal units in this game live and die by how much dummy links they have, regardless of how good their levels or abilities are. Dummy links in this case requires a rare resource called cores, which you can only farm by stuffing high rarity dolls into furnaces. Luckily, they come in plenty as long as the flesh is willing, which is where the main meat of the game comes in. Farming a lot of it, akin to a Korean MMO in which it never ends, where traditional gacha games let you do a stage for a limited amount of times in exchange for XP items daily. In this game, the majority of units will be raised through directly bring them into battle over and over again. So you better get comfortable with leaving your phone allowing face down in your everyday life. By consulting this spreadsheet, we will see which story stages are the best place to spam in order to train your dolls according to their current levels. Alternatively, we can throw all this away and instead look into a community favorite method that is referred to as quote striking, the moral implications of which are completely inconsequential, where normal leveling requires you to change maps constantly once your doll reach a certain level threshold. You also have to account for the resources needed for them to repeat a map constantly. To quote strike, we will first need a sacrificial lamb, M16. She is not a particularly good late game tank, but she is free and somewhat built right out of the box for new players. So first, you're going to go into settings, turn off auto resupply, then fill your teams with 3 dolls. Any doll, they are going to be doing jack shit anyway, while reaping all the benefits. Have your second maxed out AR in a second team all alone and deploy both teams, resupply the lone AR and clear the map with your caught striking squad. Restart the mission and only switch the squad's AR, and there you have it. You have successfully learned how to hobo run. This method is able to exist because this game is so particular about how you handle your resources that any amount you haven't used in a mission stays with that particular doll. This is highly approved by all Shikikans all around because it barely takes team comp into account and only asks for the resources of a single AR in exchange. This is the only reasonable way to raise machine guns in normal combat. Once you craft yourself a tier 8 armor plate and exo, you can attempt stage 02 in the main story. This map works with all level ranges and has a good 3-star drop rate who can then be sacrificed for cores, which you will never stop needing because aside from dummy linking high rarity dolls, they are also used for crafting shotguns and fairies. Fairies are an expensive addition to your teams, but they are well worth the investment. They provide up to 50% of stats to the entire echelon, with some having game-changing abilities depending on how you use them. They are raised alongside your echelons and have their own rarity upgrade system if you want to make use of their talents that provide an extra layer of stats on top of the stat bonus they already give. Unfortunately, talents are completely random upon crafting and you may need debate using them as rarity fodder for other fairies or reroll a better talent. All this should be treated as the true endgame of farming. Once each team has their own fairy and they are max level, all that's left is to repeat the cycle until you have 6 squads of level 90 dolls, 3 AR SMG, 2 rifle handgun, and 1 shotgun and machine gun. This will usually get you through any stage in the main story and events on normal difficulty, and it is at this point you can firmly say you are out of the early game. On hard difficulty, however, you're gonna need to unlock even more features to handle newer gimmicks that the game throws at you, because with growing pains of keeping old players engaged, gacha devs have long developed the profound idea of introducing a problem and selling the solution. We have ranking maps where you're gonna have to micromanage around 10 or so echelons at the same time over the course of 20 turns. Good luck! And it is at this point there is nothing more for me to teach you, and I will officially transfer you over to the Girls Frontline veterans, where all your bad decisions are no longer my responsibility. Look, I've been writing this script for over a month and I've been getting some curious knocks on the door from the police regarding my recent search history just to make this video, and we'll literally be here for hours if we were to introduce every unique feature that can be found in this game. In all my years of playing gacha games, I have yet to find another gacha game quite like Girls Frontline, with all its faults and how it operates compared to other gachas. It leaves quite a memorable experience. I'll be lying if I said this game can be enjoyed by anyone, but at the very least, I hope my suffering leads for a rather entertaining video anyway. I'll catch you all in the next gacha game related video.